Okay, so yesterday you realized we discussed what a footwall was and what a hanging wall was. We were able to define the two and tell the differences, which side of our deposit we term as a footwall and which other side we term as a hanging wall. And so in the open pit space, as we mine ahead, usually we go towards the wall side, whilst the hanging wall is left. And usually, because we don't have any deposit there, so hardly do we go into it. As we mine, we'll be moving away towards the footwall, leaving the hanging wall to stand vertically on one side of the pit. But for safety practices, we don't need to let the wall stand just as a full straight block. And so we decide to leave some kind of a steps on the hanging wall side. So that type of step we leave for safety purposes, such that if any fallen rocks happen to topple over from the top, they might be trapped by this particular berm we have left there. So we calculate and leave that berm there based on what our geotechnical engineers will tell us that this is the competency of the rock. We use that knowledge we know about the competency of the rock and leave that berm there. So that vertical horizontal line we leave from the wall, which kind of form a bench, a small bench on the hanging wall side, is what we term as a berm. And that one is left most of the time, mainly for safety reasons. And somebody mentioned a ring row. A ring row is also left along haul roads, just to guard us in case you happen to lose control whilst driving, or you are walking along the whole road. Sometimes whilst you're on the whole road, just a few stretch of your neck, you will see that the pit is far below you, and so that you do not all of a sudden topple over and fall within the pit or have any accident. And that is why we leave ring rows. So ring rows and then berms are usually for safety purposes. Then, so on the hanging wall side, you can see what we call a berm and a berm interval. So the berm interval, let me get my pen. So with the berm, we have this section of the pit, the hanging wall side, the red section is what we term as our berm. Then the interval of the berm is when I start assuming there is a berm up here to the next berm. That is what we term as the berm interval. Then I have the berm slope angle. So you know, we can't allow the wall to stand straight. If it stands straight, the likelihood of it encountering a lot of stresses and then breaking or falling off all of a sudden is high. And so we try as much as possible to tilt it a little. So we can't allow our walls to stand upright like that. Else we are going to encounter accidents all the time. And so during the calculations of the berm and the berm width and all that, we try to allow the walls of the pit to slant a little. That angle we leave for the slanting is what we term. So if it is for the berm, then we call it the berm slope angle. So if I pick it from the start of the pit to the bottom of the pit like this, up to this section, that angle becomes overall pit. Okay, so when we come to that of the footwall side, this section is what we term as the overall pit slope angle, because whilst we calculate the berm interval, the berm, and then we leave angles to help for safety purposes. When we come to the bench the bench is the floor or the platform upon which we are working. And so when we come to that section of the pit two, which is the bench is the surface or the platform upon which we are working. And then the wall to it is what we term as the bench face. Then, so this is our bench face. If I'm on this platform working, the whole of this platform is the bench. Then this wall I have on the bench is what we term as the bench face. Then the corner or the angle that is created at the top of that bench I am working is what we term as the bench crest. And then if I am on the floor of the bench working, the corner it creates when the wall and then the floor meets is what we call the toe of the bench. And within that bench, we can create a ramp, which is the haul road and other places, access routes that the trucks have been plowing over or hauling along. So we have the toe of the bench. So in this case, look at where it is. So if I come to this side too, that is where the toe will be. So it is the platform, the angle or the corner you see when you have a bench face and then the bench floor where they intersect is what we term as the toe. And then when I am looking at I am on a particular bench floor and I stretch my neck or I raise my neck and I look at the corner there that forms with the next platform above me or the next bench above me, the corner or that angle we find here is what we will term as the next, or which is the crest. So that is it. Then we have the pit floor. So no matter the type of pit we are working or any open pit we are working on, the final floor of the pit is always the pit floor. Then we have, there's also another one which is not in this figure, but we call it a sump. You realize that when you are on a surface mine, you see that there is the the drainage and civil works aspect of the mine that keeps going on day in, day out. And those people are in charge of making sure that our pits are not flooded with water. And so there's always this pump setup going on. And so when we have that small hole, we usually would dig on the pit floor and allow all sources of water to drain into it and be pumped over that space we have left there, or that small hole we have dug to collect water to further be pumped out of the pit is what we term as our sump. So those are some of the things. So yesterday somebody made mention of faults. We had someone explaining faults to us. So if we have a fault and another fault or a bedding plane and they meet, then we are able to get joints in that particular space. So I think these are some of the technologies we did not discuss when we're talking about the open pit. So it is up to you to go and read wide and find meanings to some of them. We can't discuss all of them. They are numerous. Okay, so let us discuss what we term as skills in mining. So when we say skill, there is this adage in the Akan language that says that I don't know if we all understand tree, but then what that literally means is that no matter your level, someone else is way higher above you and another person definitely might fall below you. So it's just like the job we do. As you are there in a particular section, you are the boss where you have other people working under you, and you also perhaps might be reporting to someone else. If you're a leading hand, that pit is you. You are in charge of that place. And then you also report to a supervisor. From the supervisor, we have the superintendent. And then he too might report to a unit manager. The unit manager will report to someone else until we get to the CEO or the manager of that particular place. And he too might be reporting to a board of directors. And then finally, we get to the owner. And so when we come to mining too, we have skills based on what our pocket or our investment level is and how much we are able to produce at the end of the year. So just like these companies we have around us, there are some that have a target of 30,000 tons a day. And once they make 30,000 tons a day, hey, that's great news. They love it and they are happy. But then Goldfields, I remember somewhere 2015 when I was there, their daily targets per shift was 150,000 tons. That was how much they were expecting as their daily their target per shift. So it means if shift A should come to work, they expect to have 150,000 tons. And you see supervisors will be rushing. I'm giving you morale so that we achieve that target. And so, but then if somebody is also in another mind setting, based on the things that that company has got, they may also have a target of 80,000 tons the whole day. So it means that Goldfields had a target of 300,000 tons, 300,000 tons in a day. That's within 24 hours. This is how much they wanted. And this is huge. Another company might have 6,000 tons or 60,000 tons per day, and that is their target. And so when we come to scales in mining, we are indirectly trying to talk about as in the sizes, how mining industry or the mining industries are grouped for us to say that, okay, this mine based on A, B, C, D, we can say that you belong to this or that. You are a small scale, you are a large scale, you are a medium scale. Okay, so when we want to define those things, then we are saying that that is the scales of mining. So then let's see, how do I determine the scales of mining? As I talk about these headings, I will conceal some information because I want to give a portion of it as assignments to you, which will be your first assignment for this course. And so the rest will be your assignment. But then let's proceed. Maybe I might end up saying everything and then the assignment will change a little. So if I want to decide, or per regulations, if we want to know whether a particular mine is a large scale, it's an indigenous scale, or it is a medium scale or a large scale, how do we know that? So we say that the first one will be about the production levels, how much tonnage of material we are able to mine within the year. That is what helps us to decide whether a particular mine is small scale or large scale. Then again, we'll talk about the level of investment, how much money you have put into the business. So if there are board of directors or investors, they come together and push their money into a project of this nature. The sum of money you are pushing into this business is what will inform the regulators, Minerals Commission, to say that, okay, this investment you are putting into this mining business depicts that it is a large scale, small scale, or medium scale. And then the next thing will be the type of machinery or equipment you are going to use. The type of machinery you are going to use. So if the type of machinery you are using, assuming you are using 777, 785s, Komatsu, the heavy size of Komatsu trucks that can pick about 350 tons or 90-ton trucks, the number of them, how many there are in your mind, and you are going to work with these machines, then based on those ones, we can also decide, or the regulation can tell us clearly that this mine is a large-scale mine. Again, we have the number of people you are able to employ. So if you are working with 5 people at home, your company is definitely an enterprise. So assuming you set up your own business and you have just 3 people working under you, or this, you can call that an industry, it's a big company. where we would demand so much tax from you. You would even be quick to define your boundaries. So in the same way, if a company is able to employ a certain number of people, then we are going to say that that company is a large scale, that mining company is a large scale. So we use the production level, how much tons we are able to make at the end of the year, the levels of investment, how much money is into it, the type of equipment or machinery you are using in your mine, and then the employees involved in your mine. Then we can decide that your mine is either an indigenous, a small scale, a medium scale, or a large scale.